start by sending out the meeting doc here. Please add your names as always. Do we have anything from the community that you want to talk about that we can put on the agenda now? Otherwise, I mean, you can edit yourselves anyways. Yeah, cool. We have something already. Cool. Shall we kick it off? Go past. Let's go. Welcome everybody to the community meeting. Today is December 13th. This is the second to last community meeting before Christmas. I think we have one next week. And then we're gonna have a break of 2 weeks. So the one on 27th is gonna be cancelled, and the one in the first week of January is also gonna be cancelled. Just so you know, but you will see. We will cancel the event on the Keptn community page as well, so that you won't accidentally have it in there. So it's gonna be gone from the calendar. Maybe another status update. Keptn V1 EOL will happen on December 22nd. Just a reminder again, so that we have it in the docs until it actually happens. We're already working on stuff like removing the old landing page and exchanging it for the lifecycle duplicate page and stuff like that. But the actual switch will happen on December 22nd or December 21st. Let's see. It's the 22nd is the last Friday before Christmas. Cool. Anything else super important from the maintainers that you want to bring up? Otherwise, I guess we can jump to some issues here. I don't know who put this here now. Whoever put this here, it's probably
yeah. I just put it here because I saw this issue is opened again and there was no activity. So I was thinking that if I can contribute to this issue.
Sure. Yeah, I reopened it. It's still important. It's still relevant. Just nobody worked on it for a long time. We have an old outdated PR that has something inside already, which you can probably take a look at. But other than that, the ticket is open, and you can also start from scratch if you want, depending how far the other PR is outdated.
Yeah.
So should I assign this to you then?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, good.
Put this into in progress as well here. Nice. Yeah, as always, if you need help, you know the meetings we have already, and or Slack and or GitHub comments if you need any help.
Yes, sure.
Ooh. Then
This one I have been working on. I think I have done like almost done with it. So I was hoping for an early review. So yeah, if you guys can just review it and give some comments, that will be helpful.
Yeah, sure. We'll check it out.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Okay. Anything else? We have any new people here? Doesn't look like it. I guess we can jump over to documentation already. This is gonna be a short community meeting, I guess.
get to the refinement. One heads up, I don't think it's relevant for anybody here, but Sudipto, if you want to make any doc changes in the next few weeks, get in touch with one of us. The new tools, the source is in a different location, and there's a couple of things. It's not that big a difference, but I started writing stuff in the old, and I'm having to move it over. It's not fun. You don't want to have to do that.
Okay,
And then we'll get it written up then when it becomes official. We're just in that transition period right now, so.
okay, I see. Thank you.
I'll put this here as well. So we have this docs new
Good idea.
folder, which is right next to the docs folder. And this is going to be our new documentation page. So any changes you do, please do them in the docs new folder. It kind of has the same structure. So you have your docs folder inside, and then you have almost a similar folder. Some of them are slightly named differently, but
And
it's the
contribute
same
is in
content.
with all the others. Contribute's not off in a separate place,
Yes.
which is a good thing too, I think.
Yeah. You will find the same pages and the same content. So anything you add in terms of docs, please do it in the docs new folder and not the docs folder. There's also some new makefile commands to get the thing running. It's going to be docs build here to build and docs serve to have it build and serve on localhost with port 8000. And it also has like live reload change detection. So, yeah. This is the two commands that you should use for the new page. Yeah, we are gonna update the contribution guide probably in January.
Or maybe
with
before that.
with the new
Yeah.
docs page. Yeah, depends. Depends when we get around to it, really. Since we are gonna switch
Right.
to the new page, end of is it next week already?
End of next week, yeah. I'd been thinking we had to wait to do that,
Yes.
but we really don't. We could go ahead and do that. So
Yeah, no. We can do that right away, basically.
right. Let me clean up some other stuff and then I'll get on that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. That's that. Anything else related to docs?
I don't think so. Nothing is important as let's get to the refinement stuff.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And do the docs refine there's nothing the docs refinement we can do after we get the software stuff done.
it's fine. We have lots of time now, so
Okay.
there's not a whole lot to refine for docs anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for all the maintainers, sorry, please use this link and join the estimation poker so that we can have some easy t-shirt size estimations. I see we have Flo twice there already. Nice.
It's my evil twin.
XL, always XL. Okay, refinement. Let's see. Let's start off with this docs issue here anyways, because this should be for 010 and the other ones are for later. We have this one here. Mac. Oh, I feel like we wanted to talk about this last week already, and then it wasn't really fully, like the description wasn't up to date.
Oh Lord, and I may not
Correctly.
I have been
Not fully sure.
spacey. Yes, I need to talk to somebody about it, but offline. Yes. And I completely forgot about doing that. Let me make a note and be sure to do that.
Okay, sure. Then we'll postpone it again. No worries.
Okay.
Um, then, okay, I guess then we can move on to context propagation. And I guess I will hand over to Flo to do the
All
talking.
right. Absolutely. Yes, it is the tracking. So let's go to this one. Yeah, propagate context metadata. This is very similar to one of the previous tickets that we have already defined. So last time we've refined one where we, take the trace links attributes from the Keptn context CRD and pass them through to the Keptn app version at the time of creation. And this is pretty much similar. At this time, we are taking the spec.metadata field of the Keptn app context, and we are passing that through to the Keptn app version, so CRD, at the time of creation. So therefore, the goal is to add this new field to the Keptn app version custom resource and set that property accordingly when we create the Keptn app version. And finally, in order to make use of this new property, this should be used when when we create a span. We can attach attributes to the span, and the key value pairs that we have defined in this new metadata field should be added to the span as attributes. And yeah, for now, I've proposed to use the same name for the property as we also do in the Keptn app context. So also here, spec.metadata, we might also be more explicit about where this comes from. So app context metadata, I don't really have a strong opinion here, but if any of you has some suggestions to that.
I just want to challenge why this is in the spec and not the status.
Because in the spec, because this is pretty much known at the time of creation when we create the Keptn app version. So this is not something that comes as a side effect of the reconciliation.
Okay, so and we also don't need to update it afterwards anymore, right?
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember.
Mm.
Okay, I guess then it makes sense. I mean, I'm fine with metadata. No objections from anybody. We can settle this. Cool. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we can hop over and give an estimation on this, and then I will reveal that. Now, what do we have? Unit tests and a manual ETA test. Okay.
Yeah, everything that comes that's related to tracing is currently hard to test automated. So
okay. Mac and Andre, do you want to vote? Awesome. Then we can reveal the votes here. M and 3 S's. Andre?
I do not have a strong opinion for an M, but doesn't. Yeah, I know it's adding a field, but it's still adaptation of the controller and logic that might be tricky, but I don't have the full picture here. So I just, for curiosity, just be. But yeah, if the rest of the team agrees on S, okay. At least I know how the unit test of the controllers work, and the unit tests itself are quite complex. Just for that, maybe.
Anybody changed their mind? I guess if Andre doesn't have a strong opinion, we can go with S. Let's do it. Okay. Noise. Then next one.
yes, so this is also in the realm of passing through metadata. This time, because we create the Keptn workloads from the information we get from the annotations on a pod. So there we have the usual suspects like Keptn sh/workload, Keptn sh/version, and so on. And this is about adding support for a new annotation, which is Keptn.sh/ this should be Keptn sh/metadata, right? I did a little typo here, or okay, thank you for correcting this. Yeah, and in this new metadata annotation, we should support a list of key value pairs, like this example here. So there should be comma separated, and in the pattern key equals value, pretty straightforward. And similarly to the Keptn app or Keptn app version, we should extend the Keptn workload version with this new spec.metadata field and take what we have in the annotations there and pass that through. And then also when we create the spans by the Keptn workload version controller, what's in this metadata field should be taken and also added as span attributes. And yeah, here we can also partly add this to our integration test, because here we can at least check that if we take if we set this Keptn sh/metadata annotation in the deployment template for the pods, we can make sure that this will be propagated through to the CRDs that we create, or the custom resources that we create based on what we have there. So we can check that it's in the Keptn workload and Keptn workload version objects.
This is going to need some documentation changes and changes to the examples, right?
Yes, the examples can be extended, but I think we have a separate documentation ticket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
This one here, yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about it later.
Okay.
Maybe splitting off the examples would be good. What about like weird values in here? What if I want to have, I don't know, a thing starting with a space or weird symbols or anything?
That's a good question. Maybe we should restrict this probably.
Maybe a validating webhook might be sufficient.
We have a similar splitting logic for an annotation used already for the task names. And this is very basic.
We have a normalization logic that just basically mitigates the
the naming part.
symbols.
Yeah.
I guess here we can check if there are some restrictions on the OpenTelemetry side of things. What's allowed for attribute values and keys there. So this is something to check as well.
What's that? Is it baggage?
Span attributes.
Span attribute. Yeah, that could be interesting if we kind of can pass arbitrary data in here. There's probably some edge cases to consider. Okay. I guess we can hop over to estimation again. Wait, does this include the merging as well or no?
No, for merging we have a separate ticket.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Lots of M's and an S.
I
Mac,
could.
any objections?
I was trying to decide between M and S and thinking with the document I'd be conservative, but yeah, I'm perfectly happy with the medium.
Okay. Medium it is. Okay. Then next one.
All right, I think this is the one about merging the metadata. Exactly. Yeah. So basically, by this point, those previous tickets that we've just refined are prerequisites for this one here. So, and at this point, we will have the metadata in the Keptn app version and in the Keptn workload version. And this is about combining those fields, because, for example, it could be that in the Keptn app context we have defined some keys and their values, and in the Keptn workload versions that are part of this Keptn app context, we might override some of them, right? Or also apply the ones we have in the Keptn app context. And this is about merging those attributes. And there we can make use of the lookup of the related Keptn app version we are already doing in the reconciliation of the Keptn workload version, because there we look up the Keptn app version to see if the pre tasks and evaluations have already been done, and if we can proceed with the actual workload version. And that's where we can take the spec.metadata information from the Keptn app version and then apply a merging logic, and then take the combination of those two metadata fields, so the one from the app version and the one from the workload version, and then make sure we set those in the span attributes. And yeah, and of course, to not have to look up the related Keptn app version in each of the reconciliation loops of the workload version, that's now where we actually, or I believe it's a good idea to store the metadata of the Keptn app context in the status of the workload version, because there, as you suggested more earlier, that's, I think, where it makes more sense to have it in the status, because that comes as a side effect of the reconciliation, and we don't know the value of that field at the time of the creation of the workload version. Yeah. Everything.
Right, so this means that this is actually the status now.
No, we have the metadata that we know at the time of the creation of the workload version, right? That we take from the annotations of the pod. That's in the spec. And then after we have looked up the related app version, that's
okay, and then we have the combined
store in the status. Yeah.
Maybe we should put this here somewhere.
It's in the acceptance criteria. Maybe make it bold is in the first acceptance criteria.
And let's do in the status field. Or it's probably gonna be called status.metadata, right?
I think it's called context something.
Or app context metadata to be a bit more specific about where this comes from.
If this is the merging, is the precedence? Wait, yeah, okay, I'm taking higher priority in the case of overlapping properties. Okay, cool. I want to make sure that we have that. Okay. Let's hop to an estimation. And everybody except the second floor voted. LMMSS. Wow. Mac, do you want to start off?
Well, okay, I'm gonna. I just hear a lot about merging and a whole lot of permutations, and it makes me nervous. So I go for large, but I would defer to everybody else.
And then let's do the other side. Anna, Andre?
Okay. Yeah, I consider this retrieving the correct Keptn app version, and fetching the data which are stored in there and storing it to the status, and also cover these pieces with either integration tests and unit tests. It seems straightforward to me, but maybe I'm missing some parts here.
Yeah, it's just two functions, maybe one to merge and one to update the status, which is not even an entire function, it's just modifying what already exists. So tests are
I
isolated.
actually also would, sorry.
Go.
Yeah, I also would actually be fine with the S, because at this point, most of the prerequisites for, you know, making sure we pass through that information will have been done. So I think at this point, it's going to be relatively straightforward.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. I just put an M because we have unit tests and integration tests to do. But I mean, the merging logic is not exactly complicated, so it's not like there's going to be many edge cases to test and stuff.
And most
I guess I'm
probably
also-
integration test will be modifying an old one, adding a status field.
I guess I'm also fine with an S then. Okay, then 2 more to go.
Okay. All right, yeah, so this is the most bottom layer. So now we have propagated the Keptn app context information to the app versions and the workload versions. And as you know, both of these involve also the creation of Keptn tasks, where we do the pre and post deployment checks. And we already have this Keptn context environment variable where we already pass along JSON encoded object with information such as the workload name, the version, and the app name, and so on. And this ticket here is about extending this information we pass along here with the metadata that we've just discussed. So also here, if we have a pre or post task executed for an app version, the metadata of the Keptn app context should be passed along to this Keptn context environment variable. And similarly, when we do the task as part of a Keptn workload version, we take this the merged metadata attributes, as we discussed in the previous ticket, and pass that along to the Keptn context environment variable. And also, in addition to that, since we also know the trace parent of the current phase we are in, so for example, for the pre deployment checks, we have the related trace ID, you know, that we store in the status of the workload version or app version. And this trace ID, we should also pass through to the Keptn context environment variable. And this will finally allow us to, for example, if we have a post-deployment step, or finally or later on a promotion step where we execute a Keptn task, there the Keptn task will have the information of the trace ID, and this task could then, for example, do a pull request to propagate the changes into the next stage. And since we have the trace ID here, we can then use this trace ID and add it as a link for the next stage. And that's then actually where we can close the circle, and this will allow us to have the traceability across multiple stages.
Why just propagating down the line the trace ID and not the full trace parent?
No, we do propagate the trace parent. Hotel
Trace
trace
parent
parent ID. Yeah.
Then let's change the title. Without ID, just trace parent.
And I guess we can also do
Is
here
this the
trace.
object or the ID?
It's
Well, I guess it is
a
an ID.
stringify
Yeah.
object.
So it's both. Okay. Yes. Good.
It's not an ID. It's not really an identifier, because only parts of it is an identifier. Other parts are the configuration. Clear
What
for
about
me.
precedence here? You can set the Keptn context and variable also from the actual CRD, right?
On the
Can you
CRD,
not?
not that I know, because the
Maybe I'm
the
confusing
Keptn
something.
tasks are always created by the controller. So this is
So it should be in the
of course,
definition if there is something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can pass context information from the definition. Then we add something to the
well,
same variable.
But the
What do you mean
definition
you
is
can
using
pass context information? Where?
Maybe I'm mistaken. You
the
not pass
definition.
custom context data?
That's the custom, but that's purely user created. This is the context of the
This
whole
is an
workflow
environment variable.
that comes basically from the system, and that should be that system specific or the task specific. So I wouldn't pass this. The definition just tells us
Okay.
what the user wants from the task to do.
Maybe it's an unfortunate name now. I think this connects to the tickets that we wanted to discuss with Meg in documentation, this context.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
one.
if we have time, I want to come back to that one. By the way, we do document people manually creating a Keptn task resource if they want to use Keptn to monitor deployment not done on Kubernetes. But I'm thinking they might not have access to this.
But the tracing only makes sense if you have the deployment on Kubernetes, no?
Not really.
That's, I don't know.
It can also coming from another system which is already traced.
Mm.
That's
One
why I'm
thing,
asking, because somebody said Keptn task was always generated automatically, and it's not. There is that case where they can do it manually, but it may
True.
not be relevant.
one thing that we might need to change in the future is the handling of the trace parent, because right now we pass it into the Keptn context and var, but with the spawn of the working group on OpenTelemetry for CI/CD observability, the general idea is to use a special environmental variable to propagate the trace parent. So maybe in the future we'll remove it or duplicate. From the Keptn context, we'll propagate that into another mvar. Just FYI.
So should we have this mvar also user configurable, like Mo said, because of what Meg just said? So I come from not Kubernetes, I have my own trace or whatever context, and I declare it in my task.
Can you go into the Keptn task? Yes, thank you, Mo. You can provide it here in the spec when you create this.
Yeah, true.
TR.
When you create the task, right?
Yeah.
You would create the task manually, and then you can provide any context.
Yeah, true. There's no need.
So it should be covered with that.
Yeah. And the thing that you were referring to before, Moritz, is parameters. Maybe.
It's parameters. That's the one. Yeah, I was confusing it with that.
And those are in a different environment variable then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Okay. Anything else to discuss? Otherwise, we can go over to the voting. Okay. Votes are in. 2 M's and 4 S's. Giovanni, Mac?
My reasoning for an M is at the end look into the previous estimation, so maybe that's skewed. But I would say it's more complex than the normal because we need to test for 3 different runtimes. That's why I bump a bit the complexity, because you need Dino, Python, and container, and you need to make it work for all of 3. So you need to provide extra testing for these.
That's a good point that I didn't consider.
But still, the tests are existing. This is adding new fields that need to be tested, but it's already in place. It's not like inventing a new test extra for this. It's just
but
enhancing.
it's not one test that
Basically
you need to
adapting
change.
the check for the Keptn context environment variable in the containers.
And then you have the precedence checks also. That's why.
That's in the previous ticket.
We just said there is
okay,
no
perfect.
precedence check here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since the parameters and the context
right,
are
you can assume
separated,
you'll get it
you
already,
don't
yeah.
have precedence at all.
Yeah, fair.
There's no conflict of information.
No strong opinion for an M, anyhow.
Mac, any remarks? Questions? You're muted. I take that as a no. It's more. Okay, and last ticket here, probably.
Exactly. Yeah, so this should be about documenting all the changes we make here. So obviously the most important aspect here will be how to migrate from the Keptn apps that users were previously able to create themselves manually to the new Keptn app context. So here we should make clear that from this point on, the Keptn app resources will only be auto-generated by Keptn and is not something that the user is intended to create himself, but rather the way to define the pre and post checks and evaluations will be by creating the Keptn app context manually. And this should be about describing the whole process, how to make use of this new resource, how to adapt existing Keptn apps. And here I have, yeah, this third point is a little bit open-ended. So this is about, need to catch up a little bit, investigate.
I think the question is if you want to keep your Keptn apps and add the managed by Keptn annotation, or delete the manually created ones.
Exactly, yeah.
And somehow fix it.
Likely if you just delete the manually created Keptn apps, then at the next time the app will be deployed, that's where the auto discovery should kick in, and from there on we should have the auto-generated Keptn apps. And the other option here would be to, if a user decides to keep the previously manually created Keptn app, they should just would be a possibility to just add this managed by Keptn annotation. That will tell the controller, the lifecycle operator, that it's now allowed to operate on this Keptn app and make changes to it, because up until now we had this logic that the operator should not touch any Keptn apps and modify them where we are missing this label, because those are the user-defined ones.
Yes.
And should we also add a point about describing how to, make use of the linked traces and metadata fields we are adding to the? I think this would be a good place to also do that.
Update all of the samples also.
Yeah.
It was not specified.
Yeah, but maybe that can be part of a separate PR, so we do not in the end have a huge PR that actually has samples, documentation updates, and all. Samples can
I would
be.
even say it could be its own ticket.
Yeah, but
the examples.
maybe it's not needed to have a separate ticket, but at least a separate PR would be nice.
We have the simple samples file for the documentation, the example folder, which is another.
Maybe it makes sense to split off updating the getting started guide and the samples and examples in one, and then the rest of the documentation in the other one.
Or all of the acceptance criteria become a one ticket.
What do you mean? Oh, those ones here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the rest of the documentation can be done together in one ticket. I'm thinking what needs to be updated. More CRD reference pages.
Deployment tasks guide.
That anything about auto app discovery. It's actually quite a few pages.
We should have we should add something in components. I still think it should be architecture, but about how this all works. A little bit under the covers, so we don't have to bog down the how to use it with any of those details, but have it available.
Yeah. The general life cycle doesn't actually change.
No.
So I don't think we actually need to update much there.
We do
But
have
it's
a bunch
definitely
of places where we say that you can create the app yourself, no?
Yeah.
And point to the documentation.
Let's just say review
me,
guide. We could review and update guides and Prince pages. That's
think I'm convinced the acceptance criteria should be separate tickets. The migration guide should be a separate one where we actually try out the thing and write the guide. And then a guide on how to use the stuff. And then examples plus getting started guides. And then probably another ticket to like go through the whole documentation and see what all the stuff needs to be updated.
Yeah.
Okay, then updated examples. Sample. Is it the sample app? What did you mean, Anna?
Samples as in the YAML file that we have at each.
The cube builder samples.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think not the cube builder sample files in the sample folder per se, but the one that are used inside the documentation.
Yeah, and also the one in the
Mhm.
in the
Yeah, seems like this definitely needs to be split. Okay, I guess I will put back the ready for refinement label and we'll split off those tickets and then we can talk about those next week.
Okay.
I'll
Sounds
put this
good.
back into shaping. And then we also don't need to estimate this now.
it's a lot. Sounds like
Yeah.
a epic.
No, not really. I don't know.
No, I meant the whole context.
The whole context, yeah. Okay. Then we can remove this at least and put this into refined because we can actually start stuff. Actually, we already started implementing stuff anyways, but this is now in progress. Progress. Okay, let's update this page. Damn. This is the one we said we're gonna tackle next week. This is the one we're gonna tackle next week as well, and then this one is this is one I created recently. Basically, since on the new docs page we have a reference section with both API reference and CRD reference inside, we should kind of combine. There's actually like good information that's kind of needed on those two sub-index pages, and we should move that to the upper one.
Yeah.
I'll show it off.
Good. Yeah.
Show it off. So we have reference here, and this page is basically empty. And then here, for example, we do actually have content, and here as well. So I think we should take those two and move them up.
Yes. And combine
Combine
they're
them.
they're very, very similar. I think they'll
Yeah.
combine very nicely. Could we go back to 1924? We may be able to get rid of that one.
Can we finish off with this one first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry.
Anything else to add here? I just put in like combine on the parent index page, remove the child index pages and replace them with simple one-liner introductions.
Can we maybe link those pages as part of the ticket so the community
Yes.
member has a better?
And
Yes.
also, if I remember, we recently added some of the content on top of the CRD reference because of user directly searching for a certain kind, like metrics, and then ending up in that page and not having any content of what the metric is. So maybe being mindful not to remove everything from the API reference pages. The CRD reference, sorry, the manually made ones.
Mo, you don't
Sorry,
need to press the link button, you can paste, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes GitHub is weird and then it just replaces the text you marked. I feel like I do that. Sorry, Anna, I'm not able to multitask. Can you repeat, please?
That we initially added to the CRD reference, so the manually made pages, this intros, because user tends to search No, in the analysis. Oh, you meant that intro only.
Yes.
Aha.
Those
I meant
ones,
this.
the intro
Okay,
paragraphs,
okay.
we have a ticket for that. It's in progress, and there's a PR open by a contributor that wasn't
Okay, good that
updated.
you put link because I misunderstood what was written. Thanks, Giovanni.
And also, I would say all of these pages have a C also that will have a link to the rest of the docs. So if somebody lands here first and doesn't know what's going on, the C also will take them to the related guides.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think we're done. Meg, you wanted to get back to this one?
Yeah, actually, could you pull up the documentation with your pretty new build? We might as well look at that one.
Just
I have a really pardon?
just a general question regarding documentation tickets. Should it be now that we are documenting the things into the docs new folder or to the old one?
New.
That's
I
new.
All of
think
it's in the
this
new one.
should be stated in the each documentation issue because it might be misleading and it
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually started adding this to tickets already.
okay.
I didn't in those ones now, but I mean, this is gonna be. Just put it here. Okay. Okay. Okay, Meg, you were saying.
Yeah, can you open the current one of the new docs, just the docs guides?
I have no idea which one it is.
Oh, where's guides?
This
I haven't
is
got.
Huh?
Deployment
anyhow,
tasks,
deployment
that
task.
way.
Yeah, go into deployment task and go down to, and why do we have stuff on the left? Or right, I'm sorry. Context. This is I inherited this text. I've never understood what it said. I just kept passing it on. But all of this is going to go away, isn't it? With the new, or all need to be replaced.
Will be
The context and then
changed,
are the
but not
Yeah.
removed.
right.
It's not fully wrong. This stuff
But-
here in the beginning, that's wrong.
Yes.
We should remove that. That's a completely different context.
When we
Right.
set up the task definition, can we set up a Keptn context and variable?
I think for the container runtime, we can just specify a list of environment variables, right?
The
This
Dino
one could
runtime.
include the.
Yeah, but I thought for the Dino runtime, we have specific key values we check for the environment. So you cannot use anything you want. There is a specific
For
data
Yes.
or something.
Python, also the
It's
same.
Data, secure data, and the Keptn context.
It's
And I think we
Keptn
do the
context,
same
the
for
third
the
one.
container.
I didn't remember this third one. How is it called? Okay.
If you go into the second, on the fourth tab that you have opened, so one on the left, you can see it in the example. Let context equal Dino Keptn context.
Yeah, okay. I don't trust the example. I wanted to see the YAML file. I thought we were deciding whether the example was correct.
I'm not sure what the question was, actually.
Yeah, this example is correct, Anna.
Okay. So we have a Keptn context also. Okay.
We do, but it's not user defined in Dino and Python, only in the container runtime, as far as I know. Or how is it?
No.
Yes. In Dino and Python, we specified this envar because we could control fully. For container runtime, users can provide an envar, but we replace that with our own Keptn context value.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm still not sure what Mac's initial question was now.
Okay, my question, this part of this thing, I've just been passing through from stuff that I inherited and I don't understand it. But if I were today rewrite this so it was really good for the current implementation, it's going to get completely rewritten for the new context stuff, right?
Mm.
Probably. But
So I'm
I
thinking
mean,
that 1924 should just be closed to defer to redoing this with the new Keptn context stuff.
ah,
Other than the one sentence, I specific problems here. It's just I don't think it's very clear, etc. But it doesn't matter. The implementation's about to change.
I'm questioning if we don't need a separate page for that. It just talks about context, because by now,
Well, I've wondered
even
about that
we
too.
as
It seems like
maintainers don't really know what's going on.
right. That was and that was one of the thoughts that I'd had with this is that seems sort of buried. In this, I shoved it in here a while ago. But the parameterized functions and the secrets will also be part of the context discussion, right, from the user end?
Yes, but those didn't change. Nothing about those
Okay.
changed now.
Okay. But I'm thinking that 1924 should either be closed or be attached to closed documentation to redo that, and that we shouldn't do anything with these until we do them for the new stuff, and then we can. Yeah, and I would very
Okay.
much like the idea of pulling this out into a separate file, but I wanted to. But I'm dealing with a certain level of ignorance here, so I wanted to see what you guys thought of that. So
I feel like it's so much information that it warrants a separate page. By Johnny.
I agree, and it's kind of bare. And if I've looked at it, if you stopped that page just before that, you have just kind of a nice, there's still enough information there, but about how you do this stuff. And then we might, I don't know, we might call it
Yeah.
context
This
for
page is
tasks or
definitely too
something.
long.
So
Yeah. Okay, so then I close this one.
that's fine with me, or I can close it afterwards. I just wanted to, as the conversation went on, it's like now I remember what the issue is. It may be a no up for now.
And by me. Any objections?
Mm.
Cool. Yes.
Cool.
Then I think I will work on this. And we can do that next week. Other than that, anything last minute that you want to talk about in 1 minute? Okay. Then I'd say have a nice day, everybody, and see you next week.
Okay.
See you.
Bye.
Thank
Ciao.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye bye.